one benefit of active engagement is, or active participation is, two, you could say another benefit of active participation is, go back and forth, back and forth. If your partner has a good idea that you don't have, add it to your list and go.
I think that's our problem right there. The only benefit of active engagement is to kind of review everything.
First name? Manny?
Mandy, M-A-N-D-Y.
And it's Y at the end. And you said one?
In Lansdale, the students, the teacher would get better feedback. When you get a response from them, you may discover what they're thinking that you had no idea.
That's right.
They
So
were thinking.
there's feedback to the
Sometimes it's
student
good.
and feedback to the teacher also.
Yeah, sometimes it's really
First name?
Diane.
Thank you, Diane. Thanks for your attendance too.
No problem.
Okay, looking up here. And so, as you were sharing with your partners and writing things down, I went around and here were some of your ideas. If you have the same idea on your list, put a little check after it as if to say, yes, I am brilliant too. And so Sammy said that the students would be more, what, everyone? Engaged. And Maya said that they would be more on task. And Liz said, if you had active participation, you'd have more opportunities for collaboration. And Tanya, like many of you said, well, of course, it's embedded formative assessment. It is a check for what, everyone? Understanding. And as a result, Diane was saying that there is feedback. When I check for understanding, feedback to the teacher on the quality of their teaching. It's a constant assessment, and I might have to engage, as Andrew said, in what, everyone? Reteaching. But also, it gives me an opportunity to give feedback to the students and what Mandy said. We also said there's going to be, as Megan said, more what, everyone? More learning. Can you see that? More learning, which also would affect my view of myself, my self-esteem. And so you had really, really good ideas. Now, I also included my version of this for feedback in your handout. And I want you to pop over to slide number 5. So, one is, it makes learning, what, everyone? Visible. Because if I just have you thinking about it, how am I going to give you feedback? How am I going to monitor? How am I going to do any embedded formative assessment? Because I am totally unable to monitor thinking. Excellent idea. Can you expand on that explanation? Honey, where are you? Have to have responses in order for us to get feedback on our teaching and give feedback on their learning. True? But a lot of the benefits help us create a positive learning, what, everyone? Environment. And many of these you had. It increases the amount of engagement, increases the amount of behavior that is on task. But I want you to put a star right here. It increases what, everyone? Accountability. Now let's just reflect on that little demonstration I did again about the legislative branch. let's say that I came in on Monday and consistently I did the review. Versus I did the second one that was interactive. Think about the students. The first ones said, I don't really have to know anything here. The teacher just every day is just going to like recap it. I don't really hold accountable for it. The second one, oh my God, this teacher thinks I'm going to learn it. This teacher thinks I'm going to know it. There's a big difference in accountability. And so just totally seeing in that little review. And we also know that it has a positive effect on behavior. That as the amount of active participation goes up, so does appropriate behavior and a diminishment of inappropriate behavior. And I know that many of your schools are involved in positive behavioral support systems for management, but in the classroom, it's all about engagement. As engagement goes up, management problems go down. And it just keeps things moving along, active participation. So there's a great benefits to the learning environment. But it is, just as many of you said, as Cheryl pointed out, it is embedded formative assessment. Some of you wanted to find that book I recommended on embedded formative assessment, which is right down on this table. And I'm going to check for understanding. I'm going to monitor and adjust my lesson, but I'm also going to give students what, everyone? Feedback. And the students also, because of the amount of participation, get feedback themselves. Am I getting this? Did I learn it? But the biggest reason is what, everyone? Learning. So if I get active participation, it focuses you on what is critical. You rehearse the information, you retrieve the information, thus have a higher probability of learning the information. So there are many, many, many benefits of this. And now, my feeling is, having met some of you, that your knowledge of instruction is very high, and probably much of what we're going to discuss you already do. So my goals for our time is threefold. Number one, to honor you for what you do. And so you're going to say, ooh, I always do that. Ooh, I'm so good. I'm like really good. And if you're sitting next to your principal, great. Lean over and say, God, I'm good. Number two, sometimes we have to be reminded about what makes a difference. Particularly if we've taught a number of years, things drop out of our repertoire that were good practices, and we just need to be reminded to say, woo, I need to do that next year. And then I hope to add a little bit to your repertoire too. Now, when we look at the research, though we had many benefits, these are the three outcomes most measured in research on active participation. It does appear that when we increase active participation, there is an increase in student attainment and student achievement. There is an increase in on-task behavior and a reduction of management problems. And those three are ones, if we just got those three benefits, more achievement, more on-task behavior, reduction in management problems, it would be a hallelujah day. So, but you have a good deal of information already in terms of your repertoire. And we could put all types of responding into three categories. One would be responses that are what, everyone? Verbal. Another that would be written, and another would be action. Okay, and so going over here to 11, you are going to add to it your knowledge by adding examples that are verbal. For example, we've already used two. We've used oral responses and partner responses. So we have two that we've already used. Then going down to written responses, you're going to add possibilities there. You could have students write on a whiteboard. You could have them write on paper. You could have them write on a graphic organizer. And then action responses. Earlier today, looking up here, I made you use gestures. So if I'm teaching a skill or a strategy, I have I do it, we do it, you do it, everybody. I do it, we do it, you do it. So I could use gestures. So you're going to add to each of these. Would you put your name on your paper right away? So if I come around, I'll see your name, so I could write down your idea and your name.
No, if there's none, I look. I'll start my crazy.
Okay, we're doing this all on our own, so it should be totally silent. Okay, so we're going to start sharing verbal first. One's are going to say one verbal response is, two's going to say another verbal response. When you have used up all of your answers and added any great answers your partner had to your own, then move to written, then move to action. Okay, sharing with your partner and go.
I said, well, she said full of work. I didn't know what I said. Record teacher. Or in a small group.
I've heard her responses. So first of all, I've been raised.
Oh, you think that? Yeah, yeah, I'm like you. I don't really see it tomorrow. I said technology and how they use use their phones and come up with
Oh, yeah.
I think it could be better. I think it could be better.
I put 4 corners. One, I did not put a couple things. And that's it.
Yeah, I didn't, you know, because I hate to say it. It's hard to keep them engaged if they're doing like. But I think there's something good that expressing kids can use technology for yes, you're exactly right. Exactly. That's a great point. That's a great point.
Okay, thank you. So, as I went around the room, when you were writing down your answers and when you were sharing, here were some that your colleagues said. First of all, many of you wrote down that we could ask for students to say answers together. That were what, everyone? Plural. We could have them share answers with a partner. And Dawn said we could call on individual students, but we should do that with some systematic way of randomly calling on them. And this is actually a big point, because in the research on active participation, the most common practice of teachers is this. I teach, I ask a question, and then I open it up to volunteers. Remind me of your first name?
Mia.
Mia. Okay, so raise your hand, Mia, with more enthusiasm. And I call on you. Then I teach, I ask a question, I open it to volunteers, Mia raises her hand. And who's more likely to raise their hand? High or low performing students, everyone? High. Assertive or shy? Assertive. Students that are proficient or emerging in English? Proficient. And that is what every study on this question shows. That if I open it to volunteers, gifted one, raises her hand, high performing, assertive, proficient in English. It's a practice that I call teaching the best and leaving the rest. And this is serious because it is, of all practices, the least equitable practice in classrooms. The least equitable practice in classrooms is constantly calling on volunteers. So Dawn was right on. If I'm going to call on students, I should do it so that there is, no, dear one. And golly, you made her gifted, she's living up to that. Okay, so, Rebecca said, in addition to partners, I could have teams or small groups, particularly for discussion activities. Well, then we had written responses. And Carmen said that the kids could write blogs, they could write on paper, graphic organizers. Justin said that they could write on post-its or sticky notes. Gordon says that we're a one-to-one, they could respond on a computer. Adrian had that they could write on whiteboards. Now actually, whiteboards has some of the best research, not just in elementary, but all the way through. The most recent study was done in high school chemistry. The kids would come into class and 2 conditions. One condition is they had a quick quiz where they wrote the answers on the whiteboards and then held it up, and the other they wrote on paper. Even though the content was exactly the same, there was more learning with the whiteboards. And that's the same as the studies that have been done at the elementary level, that whiteboards won. I want you to tell your partner, why do you think if the content was held constant, there might be a benefit to writing on a whiteboard and holding up the answer versus on paper? Talk it over with your partner, why you think the whiteboards won. And go.
Yeah, I think it's
Okay, thank you. All silent. So I heard some creative ideas, like maybe the kids like writing with markers, maybe they like writing with color, maybe they like smelling the markers, but some other things that you had were right on. For example, one partner said, and listen because they got the biggest answer, that the students would feel more accountable. And accountability is a big thing, particularly as we go up with the grades. So that if you knew that you were going to have to hold it up and that your colleagues in class and the teacher would see your answers, might you feel more accountable for writing it down? Yes or no, everyone? Yes. Let's say that if I was monitoring, I might be able to look at 2 or 3 or 4 kids' answers, but if I hold it up, I could look at all 30 of their answers. So you do have more accountability. And also the teacher has a better idea of the responses because the teacher would be able to monitor everyone, not just a few kids. Now this actually goes along with the other kind of what we often call hold-ups. For example, everybody form on your lap the number of years that a senator serves before they go up for re-election. Form it on your lap. High in the air, show me the number of years. High in the air, and how many, everyone? 6. But see, the benefit is that, first of all, you knew you were going to be held accountable, but also I could what? Monitor. I could monitor everyone, not just a few people. That also goes along with another written response, which are response cards, where the students have cards in front of them and they hold up the answer, which has the same benefits. I can hold everybody accountable and I can monitor everyone. So we had other ideas in terms of action responses and action responses. I could have you gesture. Mandy said I could have you act something out. Now this has its best research, Mandy, in the area of vocabulary. So for example, one day I was in Salinas, California, and I was there they were doing a mammal unit, and I was there on Hippo Day. So I had to teach the article on hippopotamus. And the 2 words that we needed for that was during the day, the hippopotamus needs to cool off, and they would submerge underwater, and then when it cooled off, they would emerge. So get your hand ready. Submerge and emerge, everybody. Submerge and emerge. So having them acted out. But it's not just something limited to elementary school. Everybody stand up, stand up, 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 stand up, up, up. And I've got to go up here so you can see this. Okay, so you're in geometry. And everybody, with your arms, I want you to form a right angle, 90 degrees. Okay, and that's exactly how you would probably do it. You could do it like this, but often to make it more. Are you a math teacher? Because you immediately did that. Okay, and everybody show me from that position an obtuse angle. Woo woo, very good. Okay, you need to be a little more obtuse. Show me a acute angle, everyone. Acute, and show me a straight angle. And how many degrees in a straight angle? 180. Sit. So, it's not just something relegated to elementary school. We could do it with older kids. Well, what other things did you have down? A number of you said, well, we could have students, Sindel said that we could have movement, and one kind of movement Margaret had was 4 corners. So we could divide into 4 corners where we had discussions there. Ellen said we could use FIST to 5. Good job knowing that strategy where students show their level of understanding. I don't get it at all. Versus 5, I will have it for eternity. Chris said that we could do cheers to get them actively involved. Woo woo, good job. Now, I would like you to pop over in your handout to this slide 12. Great. Okay, thank thank you for getting those run off. And you're just gonna raise your hand when he comes near, not when he's far from you. So wait till he's near and then raise your hand. No, this is a small thing, but if I want to reduce management problems in a class, I don't want the whole class going like this. And so I teach children only when near will you be able to raise your hand and ask a question or get materials or so forth. Only when near. Okay, so think, pair, share is something that every person in this room knows. Raise your hand if you've ever heard it before. Okay? But even the think, pair, share could be tweaked to a better strategy. Did I have you just think, or did I have you think and record your ideas? Because we've done think, pair, share twice already. Did I have you just think, or did I have you think and record? Which one, everyone? Think and record. And again, it is because of what? Accountability. What, everyone? Accountability. Because I can hold you accountable for what you wrote down. And then I had you pair. But is it possible some children don't like listen to their partner? Could that occur in North Carolina? Okay? So I asked you not only to attend to them, but to record on your list any good ideas that they had that you didn't. And if 3 or 4 times a week I would say, so what is your partner's best idea? Share with me what your partner's best idea was. Ben, what was your partner's best idea? Is it possible students might feel more accountable for listening to their partner, yes or no? Because right now, we are working on techniques that we could use to get partners to actually listen to their partner, and having them record their partner's ideas, and then calling on them, having them share it, has done a lot in getting them to listen. We also have used another technique we just call mirror, and I'll just say, ones tell your partner, now twos, mirror it back. And so then they have to restate it. Well, again, that increases accountability. Maybe I better listen if I'm going to have to mirror it. So, and then we share. Now, most teachers go around the room and say, what's your idea, and 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 work through 25 kids. But is it possible someone might get bored in that process? Yes or no? Let's face it, it will be you. And so, instead, what I did to make it more effective and efficient, and this is a biggie, I went around and I wrote down your idea and your name, your idea and your name, your idea and your name, your idea and your name. And I put that up on the screen as feedback. Now let's think about this. First of all, we have a variety of children's names there. And if I had some reluctant students, some recalcitrant students at the beginning of the year, if they were honored for their idea and their name, might they be more willing participants, yes or no? Yes. Now, we're talking here about a very equitable practice that involves children. I had a very cool experience last fall in British Columbia, because one of the areas where I am a consultant is to the First Nations of British Columbia. And so I was up in the northern part of British Columbia near Whistler on a native reserve. And I was asked to teach the 8th grade social studies class that was studying civilizations. And I started the class by saying, think about what we want to know about every civilization and write down ideas. And so I am out doing exactly what I do with you, idea and name, idea and name, idea and name, and I put it up on the screen. And so then I'm sharing people's ideas. And we come to one child whose name was Ben, and he was sitting at the end of the table, and he had, when I came to him, he said, well, I want to know how they play. And I said, can you give me an academic term for that? And he said recreation. So I'd written down recreation. So we got to Ben's idea. I said, so Ben suggested for a civilization, we might want to know about their recreation. And suddenly all the kids are turning and looking at Ben. And then the teachers are staring at Ben. Well, later I found out that Ben had, in the 8 years that he's been to school, the 9 years he's been to school, he seldom said anything. anything at all, much less have a brilliant idea. And so the classmates of him, having gone through all the school years with him, were just like amazed. And the teachers were like amazed that he had an idea. But that is the benefit of this, is equity across students. And I'll tell you, if you would start your school year and get your teachers to do this at the beginning of the year, first day of school, I mean, even in terms of management, maybe you have like a goal in your school to be respectful. Write down how we can be respectful to our peers. Go around and write down idea and name, idea and name, idea and name. And immediately you're going to be more inclusive in terms of the children that you serve. So we're looking for equitable practices that will include more. This is one of the very best ones. The principals, you have a faculty meeting, do the same thing. If you want your teachers to do active participation during all staff meetings. Have them have partners, do choral responses, do think, pair, share, go around and write down their ideas and name, put it up on the screen for discussion. Then teachers see it in action and reminded of it. So parallel what you want in the class in your meetings. Okay, but here is a summary of research validated practices, which I have to tell you, you already have significant knowledge about. This is great because your foundation knowledge is so good, you can work more and more on implementation and implementation and implementation and giving teachers feedback on the amount of participation in their classes. So we're going to look at some of these but some big ideas first. So check your partner to see if they are on 14. And here we have more handouts. Boy, you've been just so useful. Good job. Only one here. Only one here. So it looks like you have to go back and run again.
Who else needs one?
Raise your hand. Raise your hand so we can
1,
count.
2, 3. No? Speak now, forever hold your peace.
5.
I'll be back.
All right, thank you. Administrator?
Principal of this school.
What leadership skills? Okay, first a big idea is that in active participation we should try to involve what everyone? All students. Not just our gifted, Maya, but everyone. Everybody says it, everybody writes it, everybody does it. Doesn't mean that we can't call on students, but it would be best if we called on them after they've either written the answer so they were all involved or said the answer to their